This is the very basic session, first session of this Selenium with Python course. As a part of this, we'll be discussing about basics of software testing. Basics of software testing. Everything I will put on a notepad. I will give you the material. Please try to listen this. Don't write anything on your notes as well. Right? First and foremost thing, you see any type of a product which is released into a market, it needs to be tested thoroughly. Right? What needs to be tested? Software, right? Or a product needs to be tested thoroughly. So first of all, what is a software? What is a software? Right? Software is a collection of computer programs. Collection of computer programs. Why this collection is required? Why this collection of computer programs is required? You take this Amazon.com. Amazon is a big e-commerce web application. So it is a collection of computer programs hosted in some remote server. Is it right? You are going to access that Amazon application. So it's a collection of computer programs which is used to perform specific task. Is it right? Specific functionality. Specific task or specific functionality. Is it right? With the help of Amazon, you are going to order a product. With the help of that collection of computer programs, right? You are going to add a product to a cart. So order a product by paying some money. That is what is specific functionality. So a software is a collection of computer programs. Upon calling that computer programs, they will perform specific task, specific functionality. Good. Is there only one software? No. There are different types of software available in the market. Types of softwares. Observe here very carefully. Types of softwares. We have system software. We have programming software. We have application software. Application software. These are three different types of softwares available in the market. System software, programming software, application software. So all these types of softwares are also a collection of computer programs which they will perform specific functionality. When you talk about system software, this name itself says system. You see, Windows operating system, Linux operating system, Mac operating system. Is it right? So multiple systems are there. So this system software primarily manages computer hardware. Is it right? So whatever the operating system which you are using, where that is installed, so that is installed on a hardware, right? So computer hardware. Is it right? Computer hardware. So system software manages computer hardware. So it provides this system software. You take this Windows operating system also. What it will also do, it will also provides a platform. Is it right? It will also provide a platform for other softwares. Is it right? Other softwares. Very important thing. Other softwares. Very, very basic things these are. So system software primarily manages computer hardware. Is it right? Computer hardware. Also, it will provide a platform for other softwares as well. What is the best example for system software? So every day you are using, guys, you see Docker desktop. Docker desktop. Is it right? Docker desktop, which we will be going to discuss when we discuss this CI CD tools. Docker desktop is a system software. Is it right? You take this utilities, you take these drivers, right? Drivers. So you take these operating systems. So these are all system softwares. So these system softwares primarily manages computer hardware. So every hardware needs to have some soul. Is it right? A human needs to have some soul. So every hardware is like a human needs to have some soul. That soul is nothing but a software. So it is a system software which manages computer hardware. You talk about this programming software. This name itself says programming. Who are programmers? Developers. Is it right? Automation test engineers. Automation test engineers. Right? So developers, automation test engineers, what they will do, they will create application. Is it right? They will create application. They will debug software applications. Is it right? For developing any software, for creating any software, for debugging, right? So any software, we need these programming softwares. What are the different types of programming softwares which we see generally? You see here Python, whatever the programming language which we are going to discuss right now is an interpreted language. Is it right? So Python is an interpreted language. So interpreter is a programming software. You talk about this Java. Java is a compiler language. To debug the program, we have this debuggers. Is that right? So different types of programming softwares are available. Right? Software is a collection of computer programs. We have system software, programming software, as well as application software. System software primarily manages computer hardware. Programming software helps to create an application, create a test case, debug an application, debug any specific functionality. So interpreter, compiler, debuggers are programming softwares. You talk about this application softwares. Application, this name itself says, guys, application. So when you talk about any type of application, what they will do, they will directly serve end users. Is it right? Directly serves. You take this Amazon, Amazon.com. It's an web application. Is it right? So we have different types of application softwares. Right? So application softwares directly serve end users. End users are also called as clients. End users are also called as clients. So what are the different types of application softwares? Desktop applications. Is it right? Desktop applications. We have a web applications. Is it right? We have web applications. We also have mobile applications. Mobile applications. You see here, you have desktop application, mobile application. Is it right? These are all application softwares. So when you talk about desktop applications, you see Microsoft PPT, Notepad on which I'm writing this text. All right, you take this file manager, right? You take this Chrome. So these are all desktop applications. So standalone softwares installed on a personal computers. Is it right? Standalone softwares. Very important thing. Installed on personal computers. Standalone software installed on personal computers. You talk about this web application. So these web applications, these softwares, how you can access? They cannot be installed on a desktop, on a personal computer. Right? These web applications access it through a web browser. Is it right? Access it through a web browser. Access it through a web browser. Very important thing this is. So talk about this mobile applications. You go to Google Play Store, iOS store as well. So lot of applications will be having. What they will do at the end of the day, they will be working on mobiles or tablets or smartphones. Is it right? So software designed for mobiles or mobile devices, right? Like you can think of like smartphones. Is it right? Smartphones, right? So they can be tablets also. They can be tablets also, right? So these are different types of softwares available. System software, programming software, application software. Lot of people are having confusion in this. They will not be able to differentiate. So which type of thing comes under which type of software. So this type of clear understanding you need to have. Good. So every software at the end of the day needs to serve customers. Is it right? Needs to serve end users. So once they serve end users only, so the person who created that software or the company who developed that software will be earning the money. Is it right? Good. In the process of earning the money, in the processing of developing any software, there are different terminologies which you need to understand. You see here, product. Very important thing. Everybody will have some confusion here. Observe here, guys. Product. Next, project. Right? So product is different, project is different. Error, right? So we have bug, we have defect, right? So also we have failure. So these are different terminologies we need to understand. As a part of automation testing, we'll write an automation test script. But before going to write an automation test script, we'll perform manual testing. Good. At the time of performing manual testing, definitely you need to understand what is a product, what is a project, what is an error, what is a bug or a defect, what is a failure. Right? You see here, guys, a product, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Excel, right? Microsoft Doc, MS Word, right? So these are all products, right? These are all products. That means what is the proper definition for a product? So software, is it right? So anything which serves end users or client is a software. So if the software is developed for multiple customers based on where they will be present in the market, right? Based on market requirements. In the market you'll be having lot of customers, is it right? So in the market, so it can be US market, it can be UK market, India market, it can be China. So any type of market it is, lot of customers will be having. As per the customer requirements, if you develop any software, that is called as an product. That is called as an product. Very, very important thing. Notepad, simple example, right? So not only me, you can also use this notepad. Is it right? So everybody in this world can use a notepad. Is it right? A software developed for multiple customers based on market requirements, it is called as an product. Right? Then what is a project? Guys, you take this simple example. There are multiple banks. It can be JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, right? So Bank of America, Bank of England. In India, we have HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank. So different types of banks are there. So each bank, let's say it is a customer, right? So what you will be doing, if you want to make any transaction from one bank to another bank, definitely, so that specific banks will be having some applications, will be having some softwares, right? So if a software is developed for a specific customer based on their requirements, based on their requirements based on their requirements, it is called as a project. So when I'm saying specific customer, you think about a specific bank, you think about Amazon, you think about Flipkart. So Flipkart is having their software, Amazon is also having their software. So they have their own software. That software is developed, right, based on their requirements. So if any software which is developed for a specific customer, not for multiple customers, very, very important difference it is. Software developed for multiple customers, software developed for specific customer based on their requirements. Every customer will be having their own requirements. Is it right? But for multiple customers will be having multiple requirements. As per the multiple requirements, if you develop any software, that is called as a product. But coming to project, if a software is developed for specific customer based on their requirements, it is called as an project. Good. Then what is an error? What is a bug? What is a failure? Guys, human can make mistakes. Is it right? So because of those mistakes, if you get incorrect result, that is called as an error. That is called as an error. So human action that produces incorrect result, it is called as an error. Human mistakes leads to incorrect error, right? You think this infinite loop. Whenever we are discussing this flow control in Python, I will make you understand what is an infinite loop. So that infinite loop, it will be executing until unless you interrupt, right? That is what a mistake. So because of that, that loop is executing n number of times. So that is what a human action, that is that loop execution is not stopping at specific point of time, right? So it is an mistake from human that producing an incorrect result, right? That is called as an error. We'll be discussing that going ahead, but for now try to understand this much only. Human action that produces incorrect result, it is called as an error. Good. What is a bug? What is a defect? Right, guys, you are using this amazon.com. Before big billion days, the system is working perfectly. At the time of big billion days also, the system is working absolutely fine. There is no problem at all. But during big billion days, if the system got crashed, that is a defect in the system. Why it will crash? Because of huge traffic at that specific point of time hitting that Amazon server. Is it right? So who identifies that? Who is actually using that system identifies that issue, identifies that defect. Is it right? So deviation from expected behavior. What is my expected behavior? The system should work as expected during big billion days also, right? From expected behavior to actual behavior of the system, right? Actual behavior of system. So what is the actual behavior? The system is working fine before big billion days. During big billion days also, it should work as expected, as like in the normal days, right? If there is any deviation, so that deviation is called as an bug or a defect, right? Let's suppose you think this simple example. So when I try to add 2 plus 3, that must result in 5. But if it is resulting me 6, there is a deviation between actual output and the expected output. That deviation is called a bug or a defect. So that is not a good system. That is a buggy system. Is it right? So, and what is a failure? Failure, the deviation identified by end user. At the end of the day, every software, every product which you develop should serve end user, right? So during using of that system, if the end user identifies any deviation, right? So it is nothing but a failure. So deviation identified by end user during using that system, it is called as an failure. Simple example, when you are going to log in into that system, if the system, even though you are providing right credentials, proper credentials, if the system is not allowing you to log in, right, it is a issue. It is not a bug. It is not a bug. Observe here very carefully. It is a failure. The system is failing so that it is not allowing you to log in into that system to access the resources in the server. So it is a deviation, right? So it is an issue. So it is an issue identified by end user while using that system. It is called as an failure, right? For all these things, to make sure that software is not having any errors, to make sure that software is a bug free or a defect free, to make sure that software does not have any failures. We need software testing. We need software testing. Now comes the real picture here, real definition here. So what is a software testing? The process of identifying defects. The process of identifying defects in a software. When I am saying software, it is a product. Why you need to identify? I need to make sure whatever the software which I deliver to the end users or a customer, it should be in a good state. It should have some good quality, to make sure, to ensure quality before releasing it to customers. Right? Customers are also called as clients. We need this software testing. So the process of identifying defects, it's a process, it's an action also you can think of. You can say, right? In how many ways you can do this software testing? So it can be done manually, or you can use any automation tools, right? And one more important thing, guys, without a software testing, if you release any product into the market, what are the two major things which it will happen? One is huge revenue loss to the company. If the product which you released into the market is having some issues, what the customers will think? Customers will think that it is not a good product. So I need to see alternate product which is very good than this. Right? And the other thing is, again, company reputation is also in stake. Is it right? One is company will lose money, huge business will be lost, along with that reputation also in stake. And one more thing, again, it needs to spend lot of money on developing, again fixing that, for retesting, regression testing, lot of things involved. So first and foremost thing, we need to do software testing. So whatever the software which you want to release into a market, you need to test that thoroughly, then only you need to release that into market. Otherwise you should not release that. So we need a software testing. Whatever the software which we are testing and which we are releasing in the market is a bug free, to make sure that it is a bug free, and to make sure it meets the customer requirements. Is it right? So every customer will be having a lot of requirements. At the end of the day, you need to do requirement traceability matrix, whether all the requirements are covered in the form of test cases or not. Right? To check whether it is meeting customer requirements, we need this software testing. Also, once you release any product, if it is having bugs, fixing the bugs after the release is more expensive, and also company name will be in stake. Right? Then identifying and resolving them earlier. So before releasing the product into the software, you need to make sure, right, so that the product is a bug free and it is not having any issues. So it is a quality software. Good. How many ways you can do software testing? One is manual and the other is by using automation tools. Is it right? So manual testing. Here comes the very good picture. Manual testing. So manual testing. Manual means man will intervene here. Man means human. Is it right? So testing carried out. Testing carried out. Testing carried out by human. Right? Testing carried out by human. Right? Without use of automation tools. Right? So if any manual intervention is there without automation, right, if the testing is carried out by human, it is called as an manual testing. So no automation tools are used. Is it right? No automation tools are used. No automation tools are used. You observe here. So at the end of the day, you will write an test case. Test case consists of lot of steps. Is it right? Multiple steps it will be having. You will take each and every step. you will try to execute on AUT. Very important terminology it is. What is an AUT? Application under test. AUT means application under test. Application under test. Application under test. Whatever the web application which you are going to test, which you are going to validate, which you are going to check for quality, it is called as an AUT. Right? In automation testing, or if it is in manual testing, in testing arena, right, we'll call that as an AUT, application under test. So whatever the AUT which we'll be having, first we'll be having test cases. Right? Test case consists of some test steps along with test name. What you will do, you will execute these test steps one by one on this AUT, application under test. So how you will execute? So one by one you will try to execute on your own. Right? A human tries to execute each and every step on this AUT. So this is manual execution. This manual execution which is carried out by human is called as an manual testing. But if you see automation testing, you will be having test case. Test case consists of test steps. Is it right? Each and every test step is converted to automation script. Is converted to automation script. You see here one simple example. Let me show you. Right, I'm opening this pie chart. So this is what the current batch which is going on. Let me show you one of the batch one. Right, you see here, this is the whole automation script. This is what an data driven automation test script it is. You see the simple test case. Let me show you this simple test case. So this test case, right, consists of test steps. So each and every step, right, will be executed on AUT, application under test. You see here the simple test case. I'll be just executing it here. You see in the Chrome browser, I'm just executing this. Right, Chrome browser. Right, so at the end of the day we'll use this Chrome browser. Right, so driver equal to WebDriver dot Chrome. Right, so options equal to opt. Don't worry if you don't understand. Going ahead, you'll be understanding this each and everything. You see here within one single click. Right, so I'll be able to execute each and every test step which is in the form of automation test script. Right, on AUT, application under test. You see here it is opening Google Chrome. Right, you see it is closing that. So it is checking, it is getting the title. Right, so it is also checking whether the actual title is equal to expected title or not. At last, if it is equal, this is what a conditional statement. If else conditional statement we'll be discussing going ahead. You see here title test passed. Every test case will be having expected output as well as actual output. So you need to validate that. How you can validate? In the test case only you will validate. So but if you talk about this manual testing, you need to execute one by one. So it will take a lot of time. So let us see this manual testing and automation testing also. Right, so automation testing, let us write the definition first. So testing carried out. Testing carried out by using automation tools. Automation tools. It is called as an automation testing. Manual testing is testing carried out by human. But coming to automation testing, just now we have seen you'll be having some test script. So how you are writing this test script? With the help of a programming language. Multiple programming languages you can use. Right, programming language will write a code. That code will instruct a tool, automation tool, to execute that automation script on application under test. Right, let me put it here. AUT is application under test. Good. You are doing manual testing. You're also doing this automation testing. Why? What is the reason to go from manual to automation? Is there anything, is there any reason why we need to go for automation testing? Yes, there is a reason, right? The first and foremost disadvantage is we need to do retesting. Good. You'll perform automation testing, manual testing. Good. But coming to manual testing, you will do retesting, you will do regression testing. You will do regression testing. Try to observe this very carefully, guys. Retesting and regression testing, these are types of manual testing on a high level. There are different types of testings as well. But to make you understand, I'm just using these two things. Right? To perform this retesting, to perform this regression testing, I need to spend a lot of time. I need to spend a lot of efforts, right? Lot of time and efforts. I need to spend a lot of errors also because I'm a human, right? If anything carried out by human can be possible to make some issues, to make some errors. Also, he needs to put lot of efforts as well. Lot of time is consumed to perform this retesting as well as regression testing. Guys, try to understand this. There is a Gmail application, right? Gmail application. Good. In the Gmail application, you'll be having a lot of modules. Is it right? Inbox you'll be having. You'll be having sent items. You'll be having spam, right? So you'll be having some outbox as well. Multiple things, multiple modules, multiple functionalities you'll be having in Gmail application. Good. At the end of the day, when I'm testing that Gmail application, I found an issue in the sent items module, right? I found a bug or an issue or a defect in the sent items module. Good. What I have done, I have reported this bug to developer, right? I have reported this bug to developer. What developer has done, developer has fixed that bug. Developer has fixed that bug. So after fixing, do I need to test that or not? It's me who raised the bug to this developer. Developer fixed the bug. After fixing, you need to make sure whether this bug is resolved or not in the sent items module. That means this is called as an retesting. So what is retesting? What is retesting? Observe this very carefully. Testing same functionality. Where you raise out the bug in the sent items functionality, sent items module, right? Testing same functionality, right? Same functionality. After defects have been fixed, defects have been fixed. Very important thing. Testing the same functionality. So after fixing the bug in the sent items of functionality, again you need to test that sent items of functionality. So if you test that same functionality again after the bug is fixed, after the defect is fixed, that is called as an retesting. That is called as an retesting. Good. What is an regression testing? Guys, observe here. Observe here. Developer fixes the bug in the sent items functionality or sent items module. Is it right? That means he will make some changes. He will make some changes so that the bug is fixed. Is it right? Because of these changes, it should not affect the functionalities of inbox, spam, as well as outbox. Because of the modifications done by developer in the sent items functionality, those changes should not disturb existing functionalities. To make sure these changes do not have any negative impact on existing modules, will perform a testing. That testing is called as an regression testing. So testing software to ensure, to make sure new changes, to make sure new changes do not have any effect, any effect on existing functionalities. Existing functionalities. Right? To make sure we'll go for this regression testing. So very, very important thing. Because of changes in one functionality, those changes should not disturb other functionalities. To make sure, to ensure we'll perform a testing. That type of testing is called as an regression testing. So to perform retesting, to perform regression testing, we need to spend a lot of time, guys. We need to spend a lot of efforts. We need to spend a lot more things. Along with this, there may be a chance, since we are humans, we are not gods, we can make some mistakes. Because of those mistakes, there may be a chance of getting some errors. Right? So to avoid all these disadvantages, we'll go for automation testing. We'll go for automation testing. So with the help of automation tools, this automation tools requires programming language. This programming language provides instructions, provides instructions to automation tools. Automation tools provides instruction to automation tools. Testing carried out by automation tools with the help of a programming language, right? It is called as an automation testing, right? At the end of the day, with one single click, right, you will be able to execute this automation script on this AUT application under test. Good. What is the most popular automation testing tool? Most of you people know Selenium, right? Then what is Selenium? What is Selenium? In this course, we'll be discussing Python programming language along with Selenium. Right? Selenium is what an automation testing tool. Right? Selenium WebDriver will be using here. Right? So Selenium is a popular open source tool. Right? It's a popular open source. Open source means, right, you can see the source code. Open source, very important. This terminology says open source. Source means the code, whatever the code which you are going to implement, which you are going to write to get this testing functionality, right? That is called as an source. You can see the source code. So that is called as an open source. So Selenium is used for automating web applications. Automating web applications. Very, very, very important point. Why I am saying very important point? The reason is most of the people will confuse. Is Selenium is also used for API testing? It is absolutely a bullshit. Why? Selenium is what an UI tool. That means it will only automate web applications or UI applications, user interface applications, whatever the applications which user can interact. Those applications you can automate by using Selenium. Right? Who developed this? Jason Huggins. Jason Huggins. So he's a developer at ThoughtWorks, right? In 2004, he has developed this uh, uh, a tool which is at that time JavaScript executor. Right. So later on, it is emerged as Selenium. Right. With the help of Selenium, you cannot do API testing. You can only do web or UI applications testing. Right? Selenium is not a single tool, guys. Very important. Selenium is not a single tool. Selenium is not a single tool. Right? Observe here. Most of the people will again have some doubt here. When you say Selenium, you are not saying only WebDriver. You are talking about multiple tools. What are those multiple tools? We'll go to this official website. We'll be seeing that as well. We'll be having IDE. We'll be having WebDriver. We also have this Selenium grid. You see here, go to official website, selenium.dev. This is what an official website, selenium.dev. Right? When you scroll down, you can see Selenium WebDriver, Selenium IDE, Selenium Grid, right? These are the three components. These are the three things available, right, in Selenium. So Selenium is not a single tool. It is having multiple components. Selenium IDE, integrated development environment. So this Selenium IDE will come as an browser extension, right? Selenium WebDriver. So very important thing. We'll use this WebDriver along with the programming language to write an automation script. Selenium Grid is used for parallel testing. So when you talk about this, when you talk about IDE, it's a Chrome and Firefox add-on. Add-on means extension. You can add this Selenium IDE, right? It is a record and a playback tool. So when you open any application, so in the background, so whatever the actions which are performing on that application, they will be recorded. All right. So it's a Chrome and Firefox extension, right? You can use this for creating simple test cases. But at the end of the day, when you talk about this regression, right? When you talk about end-to-end testing, they are not simple test cases. They are complex test cases. So how you can create complex test cases? By using programming language, right? The programming language instructs to WebDriver. So a programming interface, with the help of programming language, I can interact with this WebDriver. I can create some complex test scripts. These test scripts directly talks with respect to browser. Lot of changes in the Selenium WebDriver are there. Going ahead, we'll be discussing. Let Selenium WebDriver supports W3C protocol. Previously, it is JSON wire protocol. Now it is W3C protocol. Lot of changes like this we'll be discussing going ahead. But for now, try to understand this much only. When you talk about another component, Selenium Grid. Grid, simple thing. Today, I developed Amazon in Windows operating system. Tomorrow, I am not sure. There is a student, right? So Biswaranjan, or you talk about Suchitra, you talk about Jitesh. Multiple students, multiple customers may be using that software in a different browser. Is it right? I'm not only restricting to this Edge browser. I can use Chrome browser. I can use Firefox browser. I can use Safari. Multiple browsers I can use. Along with that, multiple operating systems also. Is it right? Today, some people have been attending this session in Windows operating system. It can be Linux also. It can be Mac also. All right. So different platforms, on different platforms, they are trying to access this Joho software or Zoom software or Google Meet. Is it working perfectly? Is it having any issues? It is not having any issues. That means you need to test whatever the software, whatever the product which you develop in multiple browsers. I am not so today I am developing in one specific browser. Tomorrow, customer can prefer any type of browser, any type of machine it is, any type of operating system it is. Is it right? So it's my responsibility, it's developer or automation test engineer responsibility, right? Quality assurance engineer responsibility, right? So company's responsibility to make sure that it is working fine on all machines, on all browsers. That means you need to execute test cases on different operating systems and different browsers. To make sure, we need to use this Selenium Grid. We'll be discussing this, right? Post Selenium Grid, we'll be discussing Docker as well. With the help of Docker images, we'll pull Selenium Grid images, right? So we'll be trying to execute them. At last, we'll be discussing that. All right. So Selenium Grid allows running tests on different machines and browsers simultaneously. Right. So these are the multiple components. You see here at the very beginning, you also have this Selenium RC, Selenium remote control. But from Selenium 2 onwards, it is merged. So we have Selenium 2, Selenium WebDriver and Selenium RC got merged, and we have Selenium 2. Right, from there onwards, right now, if you go to this official website, when you go to downloads, so in the market present with respect to Python, you see what is the version 4.28.1. So when it is released recently only, lot of changes you see here, change log. So when you go to change log, you'll be able to see what are the changes or updates in that specific version. At the very beginning, don't worry, but going ahead, you can understand all these things. Right, we'll be using this latest version of Selenium as well. Right, so in the latest versions, lot of issues which are there in the previous versions have been figured out. Right, so this is what with respect to Selenium. Guys, every tool, every software at the end of the day will be having some advantages, will be having some disadvantages. Is it right? That is very, very common. It is me, Madan. I'm having some good qualities, I'm having some bad qualities. Right? I'm not a pure God. Is it right? If I'm a pure God, then he's absolutely very great. Right? But every tool here, every software here, once developed, it is having some advantages and it is also having some disadvantages as well. So, what are the advantages? What are disadvantages? If you see, if you talk about advantages, right? Selenium is an open source. That is very clear. There is no doubt at all. Selenium is an open source language. That means you can see the source code. You can modify that code also as per your requirement, right? So it is also free. You no need to pay any amount. Directly, you can issue pip install, or you can issue from another command from any type of IDE, right? You can just install that as it is. You don't need to pay any amount. It is free and open source, right? So is it right? Now only we discussed. So it allows running test cases on different machines and browsers. So multiple operating systems and browsers support is there. Is it right? So this is the main thing. Every tool with respect to testing must have this type of support. So at the end of the day, with respect to customer perspective, we can understand so that he can test any product in any operating system or in any browser. It's our responsibility to test in all these existing things, multiple operating systems and browsers as well. Multiple operating system and browser support is also there. Is it right? And observe here, Selenium, you can work with .NET or C Sharp, Ruby, Java, JavaScript, Python. Nowadays, Python is booming, right? So it is having multiple languages support. That means simply this is one of the advantage. Multi-language support. Multi-language support is available, right? At the end of the day, whatever the automation test script which you write in IDE, in PyCharm or Visual Studio Code, you will not execute locally during deployments. Right? What you will do, you will execute it in remote machines. That means you will push the code to GitHub, a remote server. Right? So from that remote server, this Jenkins pipeline or Azure pipelines will try to fetch the code. Right? We'll try to execute the code on agent machines. Is it right? We'll be having some agent pools at the end of the day. You will understand this very clearly, this terminology. But for now, try to understand this much. You'll be having some agent machines. So whatever the code which is there in the GitHub needs to be present on the agent machine with the help of CI/CD pipelines. So that means integration is also there. So CI/CD support is also there, right? CI/CD support is also there. So along with this, you can also integrate some third-party tools, right? For Windows-based applications, right? What you can do, you can just try to integrate WinSCP, right? You can also use a robot framework for window-based applications testing. So all these integrations is also possible with the help of Selenium. Good. Then what are disadvantages? Every tool other than advantages will be having some disadvantages as well. No native reporting. No native reporting. That means by default, Selenium cannot generate reporting. Right? At the end of the day, how many test cases you develop, you will try to execute them. So once you execute them, you need a detailed report. So for getting that detailed report, Selenium cannot generate that, but what you need to do, you need to integrate with the frameworks, right? So if it is Python, PyTest framework. If it is Java, it is TestNG framework. It is .NET or C Sharp N unit framework, right? Multiple frameworks you need to integrate with Selenium so that you can generate reports. It cannot handle Excel files. Excel files it cannot handle. So for that we need to use a programming language, right? So we can use Python, Python with pandas or Python with OpenPyXL. We'll be discussing OpenPyXL, which is extensively used during data-driven testing. So Excel files or CSV files most of the times will be useful during data-driven testing. So Excel files support as well as for CSV files support, it is not there in Selenium WebDriver, right? You can also you cannot automate captcha, right? Not only captcha, OTP based functionalities, right? Some graphs also, right? So it cannot be automated by using Selenium WebDriver. Generally, what we will do, we'll try to ask developers to shut down them or to remove them in lower environments. It can be QA or it can be UAT. We'll try to ask them to shut down them so that we can run this automation test scripts. Or if it is there, we can test them manually. So testing them by humans, it will not take much time. So we'll avoid these things for automation, right? This is what with respect to basics of software testing. This is what the only basic session, only basic things we have discussed. What is a software, right? So how many types of softwares we'll be having? What is a product, project, right? Software testing, right? So what is an AUT? What is manual testing, automation testing, Selenium, advantages of Selenium, disadvantages of Selenium. As a part of this course, right? So you see here, course duration is 3 months, right? 3 months. It's a weekly 5 sessions. You'll be having 5 sessions in a week, right? It's a weekday course, right? Not weekend course, right? Weekly 5 sessions will be there, right? So if it is, if you are from India, it is Monday to Friday. If you are also from other regions, it is also from Monday to Friday, right? So in India, it is 8 p.m. IST, right? If you are from other time zones, I'll be sharing this course outline with you. You can try to go through this specific time zones. If it is PST, all right, 6:30 a.m., MST 7:30 a.m., CST it is 8:30 a.m., EST it is 9:30 a.m. Right? This is what the course duration. All right. So what are the different topics I'll be covering here? You see, Python is 4 to 5 weeks. 4 to 5 weeks of extensive learning of Python will be there. Not only 5 weeks. If I feel, if I need to add even more things, I will add. For this batch, I'll be adding regular expressions. For the previous batch, I'm not discussing these regular expressions because regular expressions is very well asked in an interview questions. That too in automation testing, we'll be using this for filtering the patterns. That regular expressions I'll be covering, assertions, right? Decorators, generators, right? These are the different type of topics, right? 4 topics, extra topics, which I have added. It is not there in the website, right? So I'll be updating this. You can just go through this as well once it is completed, right? So these are the things. So other than the syllabus which is there, I'll be discussing that as well. And Selenium WebDriver will be learning, right? So starting from basics, we'll be learning this Selenium WebDriver extensively. Once we learn this Selenium WebDriver, you need to understand how you can work with a PyTest. If you are working with Java, you will deal with test ng or JUnit. But if it is Python, right, it is unit test, but instead of unit test, PyTest is very well used. It is very advanced, right? So PyTest will be using it here. Once we understand PyTest, we'll be discussing this Selenium grid for parallel testing. We'll be discussing this hybrid framework, right, with the help of page object model, page object repository, page factory model, right? So we'll take some e-commerce web application. We'll be writing each and everything from the scratch, right? So that is hybrid framework. So it is the most popular framework which we'll be using. Once we discuss this framework, we'll be discussing this continuous integration tools, right? Git on GitHub, version control systems, Jenkins we'll be discussing. So at the end of the day, we'll create a pipeline, right? We'll try to pull the code from the Git and GitHub. We'll try to execute some automation test script in agent machine, right? We'll also discuss this Docker. Once we discuss this Docker, we'll have some separate session if it is required for mock interviews, right? So I'll be sharing with you the courseware in that you'll be having this resume preparation interview questions as well, right? So if it is required, I will also be conducting these mock interviews, right? So you'll be getting this courseware as well. So this is what the syllabus which you can go through this link. So we'll be having this PDF. So each and everything is clearly mentioned topic by topic. But in this, I have not specified these regular expressions, assertions, decorators, and generators. These are also covered. Once we complete this whole thing, at last we'll be discussing those different topics as well. And this is what the course outline which you'll be getting once this demo session got completed.